Felipe Cardoza here from Otis and Finn here in LIC. You can find us on Instagram at Otis and Finn Barbershop. You can find me at Felipe the Barber on Instagram. Simple. We're gonna do a very low half fade, and we're gonna leave a lot of this shelf life. He doesn't like too much of a tight fade, as far as like tight on the scalp. So we're gonna really like condense that fade into pretty much a half and kind of a 1.5 right over here, and just blend that up with the shears. So first things first, I'm gonna take my lovely wall as Sterling 4. What I like to do is always set a top guideline, so I know exactly where the fade cannot go past. But in this case, since I'm doing a low half, I'm gonna start tapering out the back here. So I'm gonna set my 0 guide so that I know exactly where I'm working with. I'm not gonna set this guideline too high, but I'm not gonna set it too low either, because again, we're gonna condense that space where we're gonna fade in the half up to what he has already. So once I set that, I come back to the sides here, chat up a little bit. And because I am setting a very low half, I am gonna use the top of the ear as my guide. It's almost like a skin tape up, but I'm doing it with a half. So I'm gonna come right over here and set just a straight line, using the top of the ear as my guide. And then I will repeat the same process on the other side. Here on the tempo, I have my guides, just to make sure. I will cross-check in the mirror. And then I will set my half guideline on the back here. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna connect the back of his ear down to here, and from here to the other ear. Just like so. Now the reason why I'm doing that, and I'm not taking the half behind the ear, is because if I do, then I'm not gonna have any space to blend that in. So pretty much this is just like a line straight across with the half. If I did take the half and I clean this up, then I'm just condensing that space even more. So I just wanna leave that space, that hair, so that I can go in there with the number 1. Cool, so it looks pretty even to me. I'm gonna start blending this in, which is the 0. I'm gonna close the lever. I'm gonna open it just slightly like that, and I'm just gonna scoop out that line. If for some reason you see that I'm creating another line, don't worry about it. You could just open the lever a little bit more, just like that, and just start working my way up. I have my bottom guideline. Now I'm gonna set my top guideline with a number 2. So I'm gonna take my number 2, and I'm gonna set that top guideline right about 1.5 fingers over here, and I'm gonna leave it a little bit longer on the back, because obviously we have more space to work here. So I'm going to repeat the process here on this side. Remember to not go up too high. We want to leave this nice and full, so we create that nice kind of like angular shape, that like little triangle shape. And then as we get towards the back here, the space is gonna become a little longer. So here we have about 2 fingers. On the back here, we're probably gonna have about 3, just because we have a lot more space to work with. We have a half and we have a 2. So we have to break that down evenly. The whole thing about this, because we don't have that much space, is we're gonna have to scoop out. Like, we have to exaggerate that scoop, because if we don't, then it's just gonna become a little bit harder to fade that in. So I'm gonna open the lever and I get my 1, and I'm gonna just break that down right in half. Here, we want to really use the corners. So I'm not working here, it's just like a So I'm gonna go back to this bottom line. I'm gonna close the lever. I set that with the blade open, no guard. For the most part, depending on the texture of the hair, by just closing the guard with the 1, you should be able to get rid of most of that line. If for some reason you don't, that's why we have the half guard, and we can go back there. Again, remember, you want to be very careful. You don't want to go up too high. Using the corner of the clipper here. Now all this right here, that's not coming out. I don't have to worry about that, because I know that once I throw on the half guard, I can go back there and get rid of that. So no need to waste too much time. I'm gonna throw on the half guard and still working on that bottom line. I'm gonna open the blade, the lever, the blade, same thing. If I don't see it cutting, I just start closing that little by little, using the corners. And on this line, I'm gonna close the lever and just open it maybe like a quarter or halfway. And I'm just gonna start working it. So here's just a matter of, now it's just a matter of finessing with the blade open, closed. And just seeing like dark spots. If you see some dark spots, just using the corner, cross-checking in the mirror. Cool. Now I'm gonna take my trimmers, Sling My Pro, and I'm gonna just line them up. Gonna set a rough guide, so when I go back to with the razor, I can really sharpen up the lines. But this is just a rough guide. I'm gonna skin taper this out. I'm just gonna flake this line out. She's like, what's going on? What's going on?
Barbers and stuff have such awesome I know, so a lot of chairs really do get chipped out. Yeah. Like hard plastic. Yeah. Some of it's nice.
Now when I line them up here, I'm just going to use this natural hairline. I don't want to push that too far in, but I don't want to keep it too far out, just because you want to make that line as sharp as possible without making it look too fake, if that makes any sense. So just following the contour of his hairline here. Using the corner here. my favorite part of the haircut is the shear work. So we have this really dark line that's going around here, the perimeter of his head. So we can do a couple things. His hair is not too long, so I can just, to make life easy, I can just take my 40 teeth blending shear, but I like to just take my 7.5 first and kind of do a little scissor over comb just to clean that up a little bit, and then I'll go back to polish everything out. So clipper over comb is in theory very simple, but it's in practice is not so simple. I'm gonna keep my my comb at a 90-degree angle, using this, the number 2, as my guide, going straight up in the air, and I am going to cut whatever that comes through the comb. Now, keep in mind that we do want to leave this shelf space a little full. So if we do take it completely all the way straight up, we're gonna get rid of that fullness. So we want to angle the comb out a little bit. And I'm gonna do this pretty much around the whole head. Sides, back, and what I like to call this is like the midsection. Completely done. We're gonna start working on the top. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of trimming. Probably just cut about 1/4 inch, maybe even less. So his hair is very curly, and he doesn't wear a lot of product. He doesn't wear product at all, which is important to know because this is where the consultation comes in place. Because if he doesn't wear any products, then you want to give him a haircut that lasts a while without any product. So you don't want to do any fancy stuff. So I just want to do a basic haircut. He just likes to wake up, take a shower, and go. So I am gonna cut this hair all even, all around. I don't want to favor either side. He's not doing a comb over. He's not pushing his hair back. So I'm just gonna do a 1/4 inch off the top and nice and even all around. So I'm gonna wet the hair because it makes it much easier for the curls to get straighten out. From front to back, we can take from back to front. We can do it side from back to front. Honestly, at this point for this haircut, you don't want to overcomplicate things. So I'm just gonna do it nice and simple. I'm just gonna take it from front to back and then do it from side to side, blending the sides into the top. So I'm gonna take a section here on the bangs, and I want to pull it straight up. I don't want to pull it forward, and I don't want to pull it back. I want to pull it straight up. It's about 1/4 inch, and off. There we go. Now I'm gonna take another section, start working my way back.
Seriously, a lot of visuals here.
If for some reason you need to see where you need to cut, just there's a guideline right there.
Really?
All right. We did this middle part. Now I'm gonna start doing from side to side. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna start angling out a little bit. You see that? That's what we cut. So that's the guide. Cutting it on an angle because we are following the curvature of the head here.
Even if she goes 12, it's still 6 a.m. I mean, it's still really early. Not that early. I mean, I'm used to now.
I'm gonna angle it just a little bit more. You see that? Curly hair is tricky because it likes to curl up on your fingers, so careful you don't cut them off. Now you don't want to start cutting too far down to the sides because then we're just gonna pretty much undo all the work that we did on the sides of keeping that shelf. The last thing we're gonna do here on the top, as far as cutting length, is this back of the head. Now his head is really flat and he likes a lot of fullness. So I don't wanna cut any length off. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna remove a little bit of weight using my 13 tooth shear. Now here's where I can just kind of like go wild a little bit. I don't have to pay too much attention to detail, so I'm just gonna...
No, not at all.
A little bit, a little bit. Sport ball. Sport ball. That's
simple. We're gonna apply this this gel where exactly we're gonna line them up. You don't need much.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You get people that are like, that's not a haircut since Thanksgiving.
I can't do that. Yeah, for obvious reasons, but also it looks stupid when I had it done.
There's some people that's going like straight out.
And just following that line that I set with my trimmer.
This is all spontaneous. See, we're having lunch. She goes, just come with me. That's nice, huh? Why not? Come with the boys.
Always something.
It's like the brains, huh? Or easy that.
You off today?
Yeah.
Nice.
What we like to do here is actually put a little secret sauce in the towels and just kind of like clean them up at the end. This is what we do. This is a kind of a standard thing we do for every cut, no matter if they're getting a shave, haircut, beard trim, whatever kind of service we do. We just always offer a little hot towel action in the end. Alrighty, amigo. Unless things just a little blow dry, doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just to make the haircut look a little bit better when the client walks out of the chair. And that's the haircut, guys. Here, Notice and Fin LIC. Boom! That's all I got. Yeah.